Right, put my cat away. Sure.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
All right, so we are live now on our Live Release Academy page. Feel free to share to your respective Facebook pages as well, so that more of our audiences can actually view this video on today's topic. I think today we are quite honored, Emilia, to have three specialized
panelists
and professional to join us to share on their thoughts and views in regards to our title, the obligation of an employer during MCO and post MCO. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take
I think we still waiting for the audience.
Yeah, I think we can start now. What we do is we kickstart with the introduction first.
Okay, so maybe we can start with our lady boss.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Okay, Miss Tahirah, maybe would you like to actually introduce yourself to the audience?
Okay, I'm Tahirah Manesah. I'm currently the Human Resource Manager and also the Halal Manager for FFM Berhad Group of Companies. I'm working from home today. We've got a segregated team. Part of us are working in the office, part at home. I'm also a not halal certified, JAKIM certified halal executive. If I say I'm halal certified, means I'm a product that you can eat, you know. So right now I'm just JAKIM certified.
Okay.
So, I've been in industrial relations and HR and also corporate legal actually for about 23 years now.
All right.
23 years. So I'm a termination specialist by academic qualification. I am still specializing in terminations. I'm doing my PhD at the moment, focusing solely on the research of constructive dismissal of senior management. Very controversial topic. Nobody dares to touch it. Only I dare to touch it lah.
Yep.
Anyway.
Okay,
Okay, so very honored today to be on the panel and hope we have a good discussion.
Thank you, Tahirah. All right,
so
up next
we go to Dato Ahmad.
Yep.
He's smiling there. Dato, the most santai man I haven't seen. So relax. Even though for today's session, he's still santai.
I think the message will come across better if we are all very relaxed and easy and santai. I always find it that way. By the way, okay, I am Ahmad Rosli bin Muhammad Sham. And most of the people that I know call me Totli. Okay, experience-wise, I'm now teaching at the University USIM. Actually, my field is criminal law, but I had the experience of working as an industrial court judge for 9 years when I was with the government before I retired. So, looking forward for the discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato. Okay, last but not least, we have Mr. Prem.
Hi, Prem.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Premjit Singh. I'm the managing partner of Prem and Associate. I'm an advocate and solicitor. Basically, I'm the lawyer bureau of the group. So one of my main area of practice is actually employment matters. So I hope to be able to contribute and to solve any queries or doubts that maybe anyone might have with regards to how to handle this situation of this MCO with regards to employment matters, and hope to have a good discussion with all the panelists today.
Okay. All right, then. We already have done our formalities here. So why don't we kickstart with the first general question, Emilia?
Okay.
Yep.
So maybe we start, of course, with Tahirah once again. So Debbie, what came across your mind when the PM announced the MCO? I think about a month ago.
I suppose it was only natural that movement restriction would be implemented then, because the COVID-19 had escalated to a pandemic. But undeniably, everyone was scared lah. It was a very scary thing, because once you have a movement control restriction there, it means that the situation is already at a very critical stage. So we were afraid. As an organization, we feared for the health of our people. We feared not so much of the business losses, tapi lebih kepada how we are going to protect our people. So for the first, the first few days, top management had to work 24/7 lah. We had to, come up with policies, come up with SOPs. We were trying to make sense out of, trying to segregate teams and all that. Mula-mula memang, personally for me, managing a team remotely memang ada cacat merbah sedikit lah. Akan tetapi because, we all worked in a team, I think the most important thing that we managed to do was not panic. We were level-headed. We worked together as a team, came up with policies and SOPs, and did what we can to keep our people safe. People first. Itu yang pada kami lah. That's what we did.
So how long it takes for you to basically discuss on these changes?
Basically, the HODs just had like one think tank meeting. Lepas tu kita ada ideas, kita punya strategies, and immediately we rolled out the plan. Of course, communication had to have a few layers lah. Sebab kita at the top level, and we had subsidiaries. We have 12 subsidiaries, 13 actually. So we had to roll down, and some of the subsidiaries ada branches. So it was many layers of communication. We had set up WhatsApp groups. Actually, I'm not a big fan of WhatsApp group, tapi for this critical time, WhatsApp group is actually very important, especially for the office staff. This is where HR will play the role of the trusted information provider. Whatever latest information we got from the government or from trade association like MEF, for example, our union, even our lawyers as well. So we channel that through the WhatsApp group. So that kita punya staff ni taklah duk tengok Facebook dan percaya benda-benda mengarut, all the fake news. So we told them, don't get overexcited what you see on social media. Just focus on what you can get from the company, because kita dah tapis. And then some of the information we got directly from MITI, for example. So we roll it down to the staff. And then of course at the same time we implemented like a health check. So dalam masa yang singkat, in that first few days of the MCO announcement tu, kita kena plan and execute. So for managers, kita kena ada tangan like sotong lah, 8 tangan. One brain but 8 tangan. So
it's a new now.
So tapi masa tu I would say yang paling penting ada 2 perkara lah. Satu is the communication. It must be very clear. And then yang keduanya, there must be a lot of patience lah. Managers kena sabar. Because bukan semua orang tahu apa dia konsep of WFH ni, working from home, team segregation, social distancing. Masih ada lagi yang bukan tak mengikut, tapi mungkin kebiasaan, kelaziman tu kan dia susah nak break from the habit tau. So contohnya macam nak pergi surau, semua nak pergi beramai-ramai, kita kena distance, okay, setiap kali pergi surau 2 atau 3 orang sahaja. So benda-benda macam tu takes a few days for them to get used to it. Tapi alhamdulillah lah, for my company, semuanya tidak melawan, semua ikut. And then it's a good thing that we open all channels. So siapa yang nak bertanya soalan, siapa yang in the dark tu, you can approach HR lah.
Okay.
Come back to Dato, because like you have a group people to manage and all that. And here, our friend here, Dato, right, has been out from the corporate. We can see he's a freedom man. And I see him move around quite frequent and all that. And suddenly when this MCO struck, what is the first thing is in your mind, Dato?
Okay, the first thing that came to my mind when I hear the news about this MCO was that how do this nation, this country functions? Because I look at this country, nation, any country for that matter, as a living thing. So we, the citizens, are the cells in the body. And institution are the organs in the body of a living thing. So now that the cells and the organs stop functioning, so what do the body do? The body will go into hiatus, pengsan. So the nation is like macam pengsan sekejap, you know. So how does that affect us, normal citizen? We cannot go about doing our thing. Is of course one of the impact is economics lah, economics punya impact. Because imagine a shop, you know, customers cannot go to the shop and buy things, and shops cannot sell things, and their income affected. So economically, the economic impact to me is very important. We have to look at that. Yes, we have technology, as mentioned just now, WhatsApp and all the online marketing, online business, and all those things. But technology has its limitation. So a lot of adjustment has to be made. So I'm still observing, looking at how actually we manage this new way of doing things. What do they call it? New normal. What will be the new normal? How do we function with reliance on technology, not to say 100%, but a lot on technology. So a lot of things has been affected, a lot of changes, and one of things affected when economic functions has been affected, this topic that we have today, employment, work, the income of the people. And of course, it goes down to relationship between employers and employee. And that's why I'm quite excited about today's topic, and would like to hear the views of everyone. How do we deal with this situation? Okay.
Okay. So what about Prem, in terms of your legal practice, your day-to-day discussion with your client and whatnot?
I think once the announcement was made, I think people were overwhelmed with fear. But as the days started to gradually go by, then everybody started to focus on the economics of the matter. What are we going to do? Are we going to survive? Not going to survive? Are we going to pay salary? And when the extension started to kick in, that's where I think a lot of the SME market, they were really rattled by this, because now they really had to examine. And for people like myself, I think the first question was, hey, okay, we are going for a long holiday. Thereafter, it's like, oh my God, it's going to be a really long holiday. But but then it moved on to be, hey, is this going to be a permanent thing? Is it not going to be a permanent thing? And then payroll, not payroll, contractual matters. So I guess like what Dato Rosli just mentioned, is this the new normal it's going to be?
Okay. So moving on, right? MCO, Movement Control Order. So what have changed? There's three views that we can actually look at is, in terms of the workplace. And then we will talk after that, share in terms of the industrial relations as well as the judicial system as well. So maybe we can start with Tahirah. So what have changed moving forward from here?
I think in the workplace, basically people are still struggling to make sense of things like working from home, because not everyone is savvy enough to use technology to for the everyday work. And we're not just talking about employees now, we're talking about even the managers. To supervise a team remotely and to supervise a team that's physically in front of you is totally different. So your method of delegating has to be different. You have to have very, very clear guidelines, very clear instructions of what and when you want your people to submit reports and what you want them to do. Kan? Sebab when people work from home, especially now with this MCO punya restrictions and all that, we have to understand some people have families, and then there's bound to be interruptions. Contohnya, if you want to have a virtual meeting, you want to touch base with them, let's say 10 a.m. That may not be a good time for people with small children. Orang yang bujang duduk seorang boleh lah, tapi kalau orang yang ada anak-anak, so sometimes the managers also, dia tak boleh lah marah, dia tak boleh kata, oh, you are late 5 minutes because you have to attend to your child, you're not being punctual. I think that approach has to change lah. So one of the changes, satu is delegating remotely. That has to we have to learn how to do that. At the same time, for employees also, time management is important lah. Even if yes, you have other personal obligations, but work is still work. Your reporting line is still your reporting line, so you have to find a way lah. And the other thing is that I think even though we are observing social distancing physically, I think somehow, being in this situation, emotionally, everyone is starting to be interdependent. We are starting to, the sense of teamwork together is taken on a different meaning, because kalau I dah kat rumah I, let's say my manager or my boss is in the office, I kat rumah I, my colleagues are in their own houses. We have to somehow, the communication has to be more frequent and has to be clearer and also have to be more empathetic tau. Kita tak boleh like, oh, you must see things my way. No, because otherwise it won't go. Being, in a virtual environment, there has got to be fun. We're using machines, we're using artificial intelligence, but somehow our normal, human nature and our, humanity has got to play a bigger role for this to be successful. I mean, I would see this MCO to be a precursor lah, the shape of things to come for the employment landscape. Because sebelum MCO, the employment landscape is different. During MCO, different lagi. And after MCO, nobody can tell. But what we know is things are going to definitely change.
Sure. Okay.
How about from Prem perspective?
Yeah.
So because now we are talking about how to manage people around, being HR, being people, work remotely and all that. But for the past, I think 30 days, to be exact, I think about 1 month, right? I think from the employer side, from the employee side, everyone actually talk about here, this is my right, this is my entitlement and so on. But Prem, maybe you can share a little bit, for those audience out there that really want to know, because sometimes it's quite confusing if actually especially when you read from media, each news or media actually tell sometimes from a different perspective and what they can do, what they cannot do, and so on.
Yeah, seems very one-sided kind of news.
Yeah. I think, Amelia, you raised a very good point on the miscommunication that actually has transpired because of the message that actually has been relayed from the government agency and government itself to what can and cannot be done. The ministry did provide its guidelines on how to handle such matters during this time. But I guess between the first FAQ, second FAQ, and third FAQs that has been issued, I guess when new things were added into the FAQ, a lot of employers who found it that there's a mixed message going on what they can and cannot do. For example, on the unpaid leave. So first, ministry's guideline says that you have to pay. Thereafter, the ministry actually provided an option to say that, if the employees are agreeable, you can implement the unpaid leave scheme or CTG and all that. And also there were ERP being announced and WSP. But I think the important thing is that I think everybody should understand is, regardless what did the ministry put in the guidelines, the principle remains the same. Salary is still due and payable. However, if a compromise is struck between the employer and employee with regards to unpaid leave or with regards to deduction of leave or pay cuts, that can be imposed by the employers. So the employers should not take it that when the third FAQ was issued to say that, oh, you can implement this, means that I can actually do so and so. Yes, that right actually has been provided from day one. However, to enforce it, there must be actual compliance with getting the consent, engagement with your employee. I think that's very, very important. It's not a matter of forcing their employees to actually accept and not accept and say, please sign on the dotted line now. It's actually engagement. And also when engagement comes in, I think we will be addressing on this, how can we compromise now and benefit them later? So the question is actually the message that the government has always maintained, the ministry has always maintained the message that it cannot be forced. But the question is actually provide an option on how can you engage with your employees, how strike a compromise, because at the end of the day, nobody wants a factory or a company to shut down. Unemployment will not benefit the society, the public at large. They will not benefit them. But there must be a strike a balance. I do think that maybe employers, some people might think that the employees are taking advantage. Some employees might feel that they are shortchanged during this moment. So engagement is very important.
So, Dato, come back. It's all about employers and what law says and so on. But you have been there. You have seen a lot of case, judge lots of case, especially when the case come to your court, and and you have to look from the employer side. You have to look from an employee side. So, what do you think about this situation? Because this is, don't say rare, but this has never happened. This is something like
unprecedented.
Yeah, you're right. Unprecedented, never happened before.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with what Prem said. That's correct. And interesting part is about the government policy. It appears to be that the government is sending out a mixed message that cause confusion. I don't look at it that way. As Amelia has said, this is something new, never happened before. We are all in uncharted waters here. Everything is but trial and error. And I think it's a good thing that government are ready to adjust. They are willing to adjust and accommodate everyone. So they throw out a policy, and some people feel that they have been left out. And then the government are willing to listen, and they make changes to suit the interests of everyone. To me, that's a good thing. That should be the way. So we are still making adjustment here, including issues of employment relationship. So I just want to share a story and experience at the start of because at the start of this MCO thing, I received a call from a friend asking for advice. I'm giving free advice now because I can't charge.
Yeah.
So the situation is like this. It's a small business who just started out a business. They got their equipment in place, they got their product ready to market, they got their employees all, they employ a number of people. Just as they were about to start, and this MCO thing comes, and they got no income. So they got no choice, they have to actually close down for the time being, and what to do with their employees. So when you asked me this question, the first thing that came to my mind, we cannot apply the normal established principle of industrial relationship anymore. We have to take into consideration this new thing. So how do we make this adjustment? So we cannot apply the law as we know it, the law as it is. That is not applicable anymore under this situation, because if we do, it will cause some problem to either side, because we are talking about interest, the interest of each parties. You know, we have to be fair, balance the interests of every party. So to apply the law arbitrarily will be very unfair to either one. So what are those adjustments that we have to make? That's the question, and I think we discuss that later. I open it to everyone first. What are the adjustments that we have to make to the law under the certain under the circumstances now?
Yep.
Okay, so the answer I open it now. So because I don't have the answer myself, that's why.
So Prem, you have the answer.
I think what Dato has pointed out is correct. Actually, we because for us from the legal line, what I can anticipate will happen is, like, for example, like Dato being a judge, if he still was still as an industrial court judge 1 year from now, when cases where involved these pay cuts are imposed, and the law is very clear: you cannot impose a forced pay cut. But there are certain exceptions to this rule where we have seen before previously, where companies have suffered serious financial restrictions because of this kind of financial issues, and whereby employers have forced to do so as avoidance measures before they go to retrenchment. There is an exception that is very technical in nature, but there are some exceptions to that. So then we come down the question to the employee. What does the employee do thereafter? Maybe some employees can even go for on the avenue of going for constructive dismissal. So 1 year from now, or maybe 6 months or 7 months thereafter, when cases of constructive dismissals originate from this moment today, whereby pay cut is enforced in May 2020, and they decide to say that, you know, they find that their employment contract has been breached and now constructive dismissal, will the courts evaluate then 1 year or 6 months from now, when the case comes up, that is it be justified? Is it be done in good faith and bona fide? So these are the things where developments will have to take into account. But what happens now? So is it justified, whether it is done correctly? Is it really a real true avoidance measures? And if it is such, then maybe claims of constructive dismissal cannot be sustained thereafter. Even for example, I think in the news, there was a certain news that actually came out to highlight that certain hotels were closed for retrenchment, immediate closure. Okay, maybe they just post MCO, and then during MCO itself, they have to close the hotels. They may not have even gone through all the steps before you end up into retrenchment of complying of avoidance measures. So thereafter, if claims of unfair dismissal is ever raised in the industrial court, can or not this action of the employer so sudden because of this supervening event of MCO justifies that they were fairly or unfairly dismissed. So I think these are the things that are in perspective later on. We will have to look at it when these cases are raised in the future.
Okay. So I think basically, all of us, we have some sort is actually managing the situation. Like some of us, we have companies, we have employees to take care, and here Dato become the free consultants, you know, doing this and all that. So is this MCO is a wake-up call to a company and to relook into the way that they do things, to relook into their policies and so on. So what do you think, Tahirah?
It is a wake-up call, because if thus far business owners have been looking at their business and their people from the ringgit and cents perspective, now they're looking more on the vulnerable fellow human being perspective, because this pandemic does not discriminate. Anyone from a multi-millionaire to factory operator earning minimum wage can be hit. Of course, we understand that there are losses. So from a HR perspective, basically the HR people have got to assist the top management or the business owners to renegotiate employment terms, when it has things that have to obtain explicit consent, for example, pay reductions, unpaid leave, communicate and try and get as much willful consent as possible. Of course, there will be, one black sheep in the company that doesn't want to give consent for the sake of not giving. Memang ada. Dia sebab you see consent for all these pay cuts and all that, it doesn't go by consensus sebab individual salary is an individual matter. But if 99 employees already says okay, we agree, and then satu kambing hitam says no, I don't agree for the sake of it. So what do you do with these people? If he threatens constructive dismissal also, it might not hold water, because he perceives there's a breach, but actually the employer is actually trying to save everybody from being unemployed. So can we imply that he has consented? Kalau dia diam je, can we imply that he silenced his agreement or an objection? We don't know. So these are some of the grey areas, kan? For HR, these are some of the grey areas, that we have to consider. Also, I think kalau saya lah as a HR, before we even talk about pay cuts and laying off and all that, maybe the employer, this one doesn't matter what size lah, whether you are multinational ke, SME ke, I think you can get your employees to buy into the idea of consenting to a pay reduction kalau there's a trade-off lah. For example, if you provide protection for them, you provide medical insurance, or even checkup, for this COVID testing, you pay for them, you provide PPE, you provide policies that protect them. You ensure them that you are doing something for their safety. Even those who are working at home, you assure them that their safety, their well-being, and their families are protected. Because after all, kalau kita go back to the fundamentals of an employment contract, to provide a safe working environment is the obligation of the employer. So mungkin daripada segi itu, kalau employee feel that, the employer has done so much for us, tak apalah, we can agree to a pay cut. Ini tidak. Kadang-kadang dia tak ada warning tau pay cut ni. Dia akan hantar WhatsApp, paling teruk WhatsApp lah. Sometimes dia hantar WhatsApp, your salary for this month shall be reduced to 50% of X. So orang tu of course terkejut lah, salary for this month is supposed to come out tomorrow. Today
Dato'
they get the WhatsApp saying, so because of this poor communication and for me a very unsympathetic way of